Okay, so let's take a look at a couple of examples where we can use the sine law. In the first example, we're going to look for a missing side, and in our second example, we're going to look for a missing angle. And in order to solve any triangle using, or solving parts of any triangle using the sine law, you want to use proportional reasoning, which is to cross multiply. Okay, so we first need to decide if we can use the sine law or not. You're not always going to get all your triangles grouped so that all the ones that you can use the sine law on are grouped together, and all the ones that you can use the cosine law are grouped together. So they're going to be mixed up, so you need to decide whether you can or cannot use one of the two laws. Okay, so if we go with our table above, we can see that this is a side. Here's our side, and then angle, angle. Okay. Or if you like, you could read angle, angle, side. Either way that you read it, it's one of the conditions that you can use the sine law on. The other way, of course, that you can determine it is to know that you've got one given angle and its opposite side. Okay, so either way, you know that you can use the sine law on this. Okay, so take a look at the information that you're given. You are given angle A and side A. Okay, and how do we know that? Just if you aren't sure about this, the side which is opposite angle A is named lowercase a, and the side opposite angle B is named lowercase b, and the side opposite angle C would be named lowercase c. Okay, so I'm given angle A and side A, and I am given angle B, and I want to find side B. Okay, because I don't really know. I wasn't told I needed to find C. Okay, so you know our sine law is sine of A over side A, and sine of B over side B, and sine of C over side C. And because of the information that we're given, we will want to use the first two ratios. And so I'm going to look for sine of angle A, which is 108 degrees, over side A, which is 24. And that's equal to sine of angle B, which is 33 degrees, over side B, which I don't know. And then I cross multiply. And so I'm going to go B times sine of 108 is equal to 24 times sine of 33 degrees, and then because I want to isolate for side B, I'm going to divide both sides by sine of 108, so I can reduce on this side. And so I'm going to get B equals 24 sine of 33 degrees over sine of 108. Now I'm going to work that out on my calculator. And just a reminder that because we have two terms in our numerator, when I go to plug this into my calculator, I want to make sure that my numerator is in brackets. Okay, so I'm going to go bracket 24 times sine of 33 bracket, and then close the bracket off so that your whole numerator is within brackets, and then divide it by sine of 108, enter, and I'm going to round to the nearest whole number. Okay, and I will choose that because both angles in my triangle are whole numbers, and so is my side. Okay, so side B then is equal to about 14. Okay, so for our second example here, we don't have a diagram, so we are going to have to draw one. Okay, and we are told that triangle PQR has an angle P which is 36 degrees, a side P which is 24.8 meters, and a side Q which is 23.4 meters. And we've been asked to find the measure of angle R. So the first thing we need to do is draw our triangle. And so I'm going to draw a line here which I will call PQ. And angle P is about 36 degrees, so I'm going to draw something that I think is close to that. So something like this. Okay, 36. And I also see that side P, which is going to be over here, and side Q, which is going to be over here, that they are almost the same length. So I'm going to try and draw them as best I can to close to the same length. Okay, where P is equal to 24.8 meters and Q is equal to 23.4 meters. And my third angle is R, and its opposite side would be here. Okay, so I want to figure out what angle R is. And okay, right. I just had to look at this for a minute. Okay, so this is actually a two-part question. Okay, so we can use a sine law, and if you take a look, we have a side, an angle. Okay, so we have a side angle, which we know is the ambiguous case, which means I could or could not have a unique triangle. So there's always the possibility that I would have two answers on the triangle. For this particular one, you're only going to have one. We'll come back to it later and we'll explain why you only have one, but for now, just know that you have one answer. And the other thing that you know about this, and the reason why you can use a sine law, is because you have angle P and its opposite side, which is side P. So you know you can use the sine law on this one. Okay, so the reason why this is a two-part question is because I have angle P and side P, and I have side Q, and if I want to use the sine law, that means the first thing I need to do is find angle Q. Okay, so my first step is to find angle Q, and I can rewrite my sine law so that it reads sine of P over side P equals sine of Q over side Q. And so I will get sine of angle P, which is sine of 36, over side P, which is 24.8. And that's equal to sine Q, which I don't have. I don't have angle Q, but I do have side Q, so I can put 23.4 meters in the denominator. Okay, and we're going to cross multiply, so I'm going to go 24.8 times sine of Q equals 23.4 times sine of 36 degrees. Okay, and I want to isolate sine Q, so I'm going to divide by 24.8 on both sides. Okay, and the other thing is, because now I'm down to sine of Q equals 23.4 sine of 36 over 24.8, I know that if I want to find angle Q, I need to find the inverse sine of everything that's on the right of my equation. So I'll do that up here. So angle Q is equal to sine -1 of 23.4 sine of 36 over 24.8. Okay, so I'm going to put all of that into my calculator. Okay, now I'm going to be using lots of different sets of brackets here, okay, because I've got the big ones here, and I'm also going to have a set of brackets around the numerator because I need to group those before I divide. Okay, so I want to go second sine to get my inverse sine, and then so there's my first bracket for the outside brackets here. I want to set up an inside bracket for this one here, so I'm going to go bracket 23.4 times the sine of 36, and then close that bracket, and then divide it by 24.8 and close that bracket, and then enter, and I get 33.6834. Okay, so I know that angle Q is equal to 33.683. Now, I don't want to round off just yet because I haven't, well, actually I do. Sure I do. Okay, so I'm going to round this off to the nearest whole number because we are asked to find the measure of angle R to the nearest whole number. So I'll get Q to the nearest whole number. And that will give me 34 approximate. These are all approximate, right? Okay, so now my second step is that I can find angle R because I know all angles in the triangle add up to 180. So I'm going to go 180 degrees minus my 36 for angle P minus my 34 for angle Q, and that will give me 110 degrees. So angle R equals 110 degrees. And it's always good practice to label your diagram as you go along, so I should really have put 34 degrees in here right away. And then I can list that this is 110 degrees. Okay, so that's the end of examples 1 and 2.